Hello and welcome to Forever Rugby on Forever Sports, and some breaking news and some very positive news as it looks like South African sports stadiums are set to reopen in the near future following the address by President Cyril Ramaphosa earlier tonight, which basically without saying as much, said that conversations are currently in place to finally open the stadiums, allow fans back in, and sort of move towards getting back to our sporting events with crowds, which is pretty phenomenal news, actually, when you think that we haven't had a sporting event with a South African crowd since about March 2020. And, we kept talking about the fact that the URC will have the first home fixtures towards the end of November, and will we potentially have fans? Well, at this stage, it looks like it could actually become a reality, with South Africa moving down to alert level 1 from Friday, the 1st of October, and some big changes in the restrictions, including the amount of people you're allowed at a venue going up to 2,000 if it is an outside venue, which stadiums would be. So some very, very cool news, actually. And, whilst there's been no official announcement yet about official stadium return, stuff like that, Cyril Ramaphosa said that conversations are currently taking place regarding the cultural and sporting events and the opening up of our stadiums. And, it was very much I think it's a bit of a dangling a carrot type of scenario, where basically it sounds like there's a certain amount of vaccination that they want to get done by the end of the year, and basically saying that if we can get this done, we can start opening up everything, talking about how we all want to get back into the stadiums, you all want to go to sporting events, stuff like that, but we all need to get vaccinated before then. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens. And also what's being announced is the idea of a vaccination certificate or passport being used within the country, which will probably be in place for events such as this, which means that by the time we finish our last international period of the year, when the Springboks go on their outgoing tour and play between the 7th, 14th, and 21st of November, the following weekend, on Saturday, the 27th of November, that will be the first home weekend for South African sides in the United Rugby Championship. It will have Stormers taking on Zebra at the Cape Town Stadium on Saturday at 1 o'clock. It will have Sharks taking on Scarlets at the Johnson's King Park in Durban at 3:30. 6:15 will be the Bulls versus Munster at Loftus Versfeld. And then on Sunday, 28th of November, the Lions will be hosting Cardiff Rugby at Emirates Airline Park. So we could be seeing, potentially at Loftus Versfeld, a Bulls side taking on Munster. And I don't know if they'll be able to withdraw their teams immediately, but if they are, we could see Damien Dealindi and Arceus Neyman playing against Munster, against the Bulls at Loftus Versfeld with a crowd. This is actually a potential reality which could be happening in the next couple of months. So absolutely buzzing with the news that talks are in the works to try and open up stadiums. So basically, we'll hopefully have confirmation in the next couple of weeks. But the fact that venues have already been extended up to 2,000, which is pretty much the highest we've had since we went into hard lockdown initially, almost 18 months ago. There's also talks that these restrictions could be further relaxed. Also, lots of very positive talks with the UK about removing South Africa from red list countries, which means that, if you're vaccinated and stuff like that, you can move freely between the UK and South Africa, which means that, first of all, we can get tourists back in the country. So if you want to fly out and watch Munster versus Bulls at Loftus, if the stadiums are open, stuff like that, that could be a reality. But more importantly, in terms of the United Rugby Championship, it will hopefully make life a lot easier in terms of teams being able to travel down here, our teams be able to travel over there, and we can start moving towards a bit of a normality in terms of the way the tournament will operate eventually. And, it's been so heartbreaking and positive at the same time. It's been quite a weird scenario watching our teams, South African teams, taking on this opposition with crowds and stadiums, having not experienced that for so long. But it does look like that will become a reality for South African fans in the near future. But it looks like you will have to be vaccinated. So if you want to go and watch the Sharks and the Bulls and the Lions and the Stormers all playing in the stadiums against international opposition, you want to see some international quality players, it's time to get vaccinated, because the games are on the 28th of November, which gives you more than enough time to get yourself even double dosed by that time. And with the vaccination certificates coming in, it will very, very likely be a case of you cannot go into the stadiums unless you have been vaccinated. So there's going to be a mass rollout in the country, and the better the rollout, the more likely is the stadium's capacity could increase, because at the moment, let's be honest, 2,000 people in Ellis Park is ridiculous. When you think it's a stadium that takes over 60,000 people. But if they can sort of move towards being able to achieve the vaccination targets, that could sort of extend to like a 10,000 or 15,000 seater. And imagine being able to get 15,000 fans back into Ellis Park watching the Lions, 15,000 back into Loftus. The Stormers could play in front of a crowd for the first time ever in the Cape Town Stadium. So if you haven't, go and get vaccinated, go and get sorted so that we can get fans back in the stadiums. But I just thought I'd sort of give an update, because a lot of people sort of been asking, what's the case? Will we see fans back in stadiums? What's going to happen? And it looks like that will become a reality, hopefully by the end of the year. So, 28th of November, 27th of November, mark it in on your calendars. That could be the first game back with crowds, first game of rugby back with crowds in South Africa, with these teams being involved. And, to have a Scarlets, to have a Zebra, to have Munster, to have Cardiff down here, a lot of international players will be on show. And hopefully we'll also see all this. It could be the first weekend back with all the Springboks back with the side. So, they could also be bolstered quite a lot. So it should be a very interesting weekend of URC anyway. And that could be a bit of an added bonus to have crowds in there. So that's sort of open. That's the sort of situation in South Africa. Hopefully we do sort of move towards that. We will obviously keep you updated in terms of what is happening. And if we are open, best believe that we will see us in the stadiums. We'll be taking you in there, showing you what it's like to go to a South African game and the URC game and experiencing that firsthand. Please do smash like on the video and subscribe to the channel as well. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Stephen, and I'll chat to you soon.